I'm a man who spends a lot of time on the internet browsing through different websites, but recently I came across a website that absolutely blew me away, and I don't think I've ever come across it before. It's a newer, smaller website called Amazon. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it, but what I do know is you're going to want to have this on your radar and go to amazon.com because it's amazing what you can find on there. You see what I did? Whether we're talking about things like toilet paper or some fresh pairs of undies to whatever this is, Amazon, whatever the pronunciation is, definitely delivers the goods. And beyond just things like toilet paper and undies, they have a wealth of video games as well. All of your current generation system new releases are available on here, and it seems like you get them in a pretty timely manner if you're a member of their Prime service. But something I was interested in was the emulation side of things. You guys know I'm getting big into emulation, and I found something that really piqued my interest. There's a ton of different plug-and-play emulation consoles on there, but these external hard drives that are being offered really sort of tickle my fancy when it comes to things, because now they have something that's 120,000 plus video games on one device. And if I were to buy that, I'm pretty sure I would have the Guinness World Record for the largest video game collection. So guess who now has the largest video game collection in the entire world with over 120,000 titles? It's me, because I recently purchased this, the Kinhank 2TB external hard drive, built-in 120,000 plus classic games, Batocera 33 system, portable HDD compatible with PSP, PS1, Wii, Sega Saturn, etc. Support for Windows, laptop, PC, Mac, plug and play. Honestly, the name just rolls right off the tongue, and I'm surprised this isn't a more popular thing. So for $120, I'm getting 120,000 plus games, and if you do the math on that, it's like a fraction of a penny for each game. So what is this thing? Obviously, you just plug it into your computer according to this picture right here, but is that going to work? Is that actually something you can do? That's what we're going to find out. So let me introduce you guys to my brand new device that has all of my video games on it, the Kinhank Portable HDD, and see what this thing is all about.
All right, so here is what the box looks like. Yeah, I already opened it. My bad. The 2.5-inch SATA external hard drive enclosure, 6 gigabytes second, LED, UASP, SATA 3. I mean, we got to have the SATA 3. Now, this is a 2 terabyte game drive, USB 3.0 slash Atari, Sega, PS1, PSP, etc. Made in China. And then here is our device itself. Now, essentially what this device is, it's pretty much like what I said it was. It's a, an external hard drive that for some reason looks kind of like a tape cassette. I guess that was kind of the image that they were going for with this, to look like a cassette tape, which, I mean, I kind of can understand it a little bit, but I don't really necessarily think of, retro gaming as a cassette tape. We have our USB plug right here, which I'm going to assume is used for this. And then we have our instructions. And I'm going to be real with you, I don't like these instructions. Connect the portable hard drive to the USB port on your PC or Mac when it's off. 3.0 port is recommended. After pressing the power button, keep tabbing escape or delete on your keyboard to enter the BIOS. So they essentially want you to boot Batocera as the operating system with it, which, I mean, that doesn't work for me because I'm obviously going to try to capture footage to show you guys like how this works and what's on it. So hopefully we don't have to do that, and I can just open up Batocera within this hard drive. I don't have to use it as an operating system, but I guess we're going to find out. All right, so unfortunately for the life of me, I could not figure out how to run this through Windows and have it so that I could use a screen recording. So we're going to kind of do it old school on here, but I do feel like it kind of gives you the interface a little bit of a better look, because this is what people, if you decide to pick this up based on my recommendation, this is what you're going to be getting. So here are all the systems. You could see it's packed with pretty much everything. I'm not going to be one of those channels that's going to show you like, oh, do NES games and Game Boy games run on this? Because I feel like that's such a colossal waste of time, because it's like, if it doesn't, like, then just throw away the system. Like, there's no point
to the system whatsoever. I'm more interested in how it runs, you know, bigger systems and how it runs more capable systems. Now, essentially what this is a ROM dump, meaning that it is a bunch of ROMs and emulators put on a device, and Batocera is kind of the interface that they are using with this device. Now, you'll see here with Super Nintendo, it says there's 3,742 games. There's not 3,742 Super Nintendo games, and you could see why. Like, it's a sloppy ROM dump. Real Monsters Europe. Real Monsters USA. Nobody needs 2 versions of Real Monsters. Nobody needs 2 versions of Acme Animation Factory. Nobody needs several versions of ActRaiser. Like, ActRaiser is great, like, don't get me wrong, but that's how they kind of get the numbers sort of artificially inflated on these systems. And you could see here, like, if you go to all games, it says there's 122,648 games. That's a lot of video games. But like I said, I'm not going to waste your time and be like, oh, does it play your NES games? Like, I never understood why. Oh, that's a paltry lineup of PS3 games. I'm not even going to try PS3. I'm going to assume PS3 does not work. A lot of this is contingent on the operating system and the computer that you are using, though. You know, that's something that you have to keep in mind here. I'm using a basic mini PC. Like, this is the one that I picked up. I'll put the specs of it up on the screen right now, so you can kind of get an indication and an idea of what sort of power, quote unquote, I'm running on this. I mean, let's just try out a big game here. Let's try out Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, because I feel like if it runs Snake Eater, it's probably going to do pretty good with a lot of PS2 games. Now, obviously, I'm not going to check every single PlayStation 2 game in the world, because we don't have that sort of time here. I mean, it would be a super long video and I'd make good money on it, because the watch time would probably be crazy on it. So maybe I should. No, I'm not going to do that. But we're just going to check out some of the stronger systems here, see what they're all about, see if they run the games. Now, this is, I'm assuming, using a RetroArch system, which I am pretty familiar with. I'm not going to get into things like internal resolution, upscaling on the bigger systems, because I just want to see if they'll work first and foremost, and then you can sort of tinker with stuff like that, you know, when the time is right. Because I feel like, you know, I probably won't be able to get, you know, too much out of my mini PC as far as internal resolution upscaling on something like a PlayStation 2. Because we're just going into the deep end here. I don't expect this to work whatsoever. I mean, I've played PlayStation 2 games on my mini PC before, but I don't assume that this $120 device that's loaded with 2 terabytes of 120,000 plus games, I don't expect it to work very, very well. But if it does, I mean, that's a win. So let's see. The game is booting up. That is a cutscene. That is an intro cutscene. Let's go ahead and skip it, though. I don't need an intro cutscene. I just want to see if it'll let me run around. And if it lets me run around, then I'm kind of... Oh. I'll be a son of a bitch. Look, I'm even got my Raiden mask on, because I like Metal Gear Solid 2. Well, hey, you know... It's not upscaled or anything like that, but the game is running at full speed, and it looks pretty damn good on this little monitor that I'm running it on. Obviously, there are settings that you can do with these systems and stuff. Like, it's a whole big world. Like, this could be an hour-long video of me just showing you guys settings, but I just kind of want to show you it straight out of the box before we get into stuff like messing with settings and messing with resolutions and upscaling and stuff like that. Just how it comes basically out of the box. And considering that this is running PS2 pretty well, we're going to check out another game. But, you know, this is kind of a good litmus test, and we're off to a really good start. All right, here's a little Tekken 4, and there are some hiccups with this game. It's not running 100% smooth, but I mean, it's definitely more than, like, playable. Like, it seems like it might be a shader issue, or it's, you know, getting the shaders as it goes along. So that's kind of why it's hiccuping from time to time. But you know, the intro was a little bit wonky, but this is now playing actually very smoothly. So I feel like it actually does PS2 stuff pretty decently. And like I said, I haven't adjusted any settings. I'm using my basic mini PC, which costs, you could get it for like a couple $100, like, and I literally mean like $200 to get this, and it has Windows 10 on it. So, you know, pretty solid. Definitely not perfect on this side of things with Tekken 4, but I would say it's close enough to where, you know, you're probably not going to notice any sort of difference whatsoever. But let's check out some other. See, you can see the little hiccups right there in like the intro, but once the actual fight starts, like, it's fine. So let's go ahead and check out another system and see what's going on with that.
All right, so here is Tony Hawk 2 on the GameCube. Classic game. Great soundtrack too. I mean, it's running exactly how it should be running. It actually looks really good too. I don't know if it's because of the Dolphin emulator or whatever. I got a little AFI playing. I can't play that. But yeah, this feels really good. GameCube seems to be having no sort of issue. We'll check out a game that's a little bit more taxing on the GameCube system. But yeah, this is a great game that everyone should play anyway. So I don't care that it's not very taxing because it was one of my favorite Tony Hawk games growing up. All right, so here is Metroid Prime for the Nintendo GameCube. Seems to be running pretty decent. There is a little bit of a hiccup from time to time when you're going between the Morph Ball and Samus Upright, but it seems to just kind of be more of a shader issue. I don't think it's actually, you know, an issue with the game itself or anything like that. Oh yeah, there's probably more. There we go. Wow, these controls, they're much better on the Switch. Good Lord. But yeah, the game seems to be running pretty decent. I mean, there is a little hiccup here and there. Like I said, when you sometimes go into the Morph Ball, it hiccups ever so slightly. But this is more than playable, and it actually looks really good too. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that GameCube stuff is probably, you know, probably gonna be pretty spot on with this, and it's definitely one of the better curated lists, as it doesn't have a million freaking things in it like, you know, something like the Super Nintendo has. All right, now let's take a look at some Sega Saturn, because this is a notoriously kind of difficult system to, you know, run stuff on. But we're playing Batman Forever, the arcade game, the good Batman Forever game. Yes, there was a good Batman Forever game. Everyone just thinks about the Sega Genesis or the Super Nintendo games, which, I mean, trust me, I played those. I hated those. Everyone hated those. But this one is actually super fun. There's some cool sprite scaling, as you can see here with Batman himself. The combat is really good. You know, it's a standard over-the-top beat-em-up game, but you can play with a friend. If I had someone to play as Robin, I would have someone to play as Robin, but I don't have someone to play as Robin, so we're playing solo. Good or evil, who knows, man? Like, we're just here to beat people up. Gotta pick up a batarang. I missed it. Can't pick it up. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. There's gonna be stuff happening all over the place. There's a wrecking ball. Miley Cyrus is coming in. Who knows what's gonna happen? Oh, it was evil. It was evil. Are these strippers back here? Oh no, they're just mannequins. Wow, I need to get my mind out of the gutter. Oh look, I'm super small because the Two-Face, he screwed me over. So yeah, if you've never played this game before, it's actually super fun. It's a super good game. Don't buy it because it's really expensive, but you can always emulate it on one of these devices and check it out. So let's check out another Saturn game. In order to get back to the menu, you just hold start and select on the controller that you're using. I'm just using a generic USB Xbox 360 controller. I mean, it seems like all these systems are mapped for that. You can see here though, like the lineup of games for the Sega Saturn is actually curated pretty well. It just looks like it's the older systems that they just do a very half-assed job, where they're like, we're just gonna throw a bunch of ROMs on here. Like, we're not even gonna look through the ROM pack, because if you could clean that up somewhat, like, you definitely would have more space for other stuff on here if there was like a PS2 game that you wanted to add or something like that. But as it stands now, like, this is more than, you know, feasible to work around as far as playing the games are concerned. Because at the end of the day, like I've said in all of my emulation related videos, because there's going to be a lot more on them, it's all about the games. It's all about playing the games. It doesn't necessarily matter how you play them. As long as you can play the games, like, that's cool with me. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to experience the games. And I mean, Saturn's a lock on with this thing, man. Like, you know, for $120, it's essentially a ROM dump. And like, yeah, I get it. A lot of people are just like, well, I could have done this myself. It's like, sure, you could, but time is money with a lot of these things. And, you know, I feel like some people don't value their time quite as much as they necessarily should have. Because for me, you know, spending $120 to get something like this, it just makes sense. I'm not running it on a strong computer at all, but it's been playing PlayStation 2, GameCube games, and now Sega Saturn stuff with absolutely no issue. Obviously, it has a ton of systems built into it already, so, you know, I'm not going to get bored anytime soon of, you know, don't beg to me, woman. Oh, look at her. Sneaky. But, you know, I'm not going to, like, run out of, like, stuff to play anytime soon because there's so much stuff on this system, whether we're talking about, you know, Sega Saturn or any of the other platforms on here. Obviously, your Master System stuff, that's going to work fine. Your Genesis, your Game Gear, your Dreamcast, all of this is going to work spectacular as long as the heavy stuff works. And then you could get into the sort of other stuff with the other systems and see how it does. You know what? Just for the hell of it, though, let's check out some N64 because the N64 is kind of a bit of a tricky system at times. As far as, you know, being able to play certain games on there. When it comes to N64, like, my main thing are the wrestling games. Like, if I can play the wrestling games, I assume everything else is going to be peachy keen because, I mean, really, like, those are the tough ones to do. We'll go with WCW Revenge. So this is not a full N64 list because you can see that WCW NWO World Tour is not available on here. So that's kind of interesting. But let's just go ahead and play some Revenge. But yeah, I mean, you've seen it in this video. This has had no problem loading any sort of ROMs that we've been wanting to play. We've been playing every single system with really no issue. Maybe a minor hiccup here or there on some of the stronger systems, quote unquote, but for the most part, you know, it's been easy sailing. It's been easy going. You can see here, N64 seems to be emulating just fine. We got Hogan versus the Giant. That's a main event anywhere in the country, folks. And I haven't even started to mess around with different settings and stuff like that. You know, different things that you could do with things like upscaling and, you know, different resolutions and no borders on the stuff. I'm not even necessarily worried about that because I feel like that's not necessarily the demographic for this device. I feel like the demographic for this device are people who just want a sort of plug and play solution. And when you look at the roster of games and all of the games that you have, yes, it is a bit sloppy on some of these systems. Like, I completely understand that, and I do wish that it was, you know, handled better. But for the most part, like, I really don't have many complaints about it. Xbox, there's only one Xbox game. I don't expect Xbox to necessarily run all that great. It's still in pretty early emulation. I'm not getting this for Xbox. I'm getting this for things like PlayStation 1, N64, maybe some GameCube, maybe some, you know, stuff, some PS2 like I showed you guys. I just wanted to see if those would run. But really, when you're talking about systems like this is the kind of stuff you're getting it for. The older systems, the arcade systems, the Atomic Wave, the Saturn, the Jag. Everyone loves the Jaguar. So I do feel like they could have curated this list a lot better. You know, it could have been much better curation, much tighter curation. I don't think anyone needs two versions of Arcade Pool on the Amiga CD32. We don't need, you know, just like weird stuff like this. Like, you know, why isn't there a complete 3DO library on here? Like, where's Street Fighter? Like, that Street Fighter was the reason why people bought this. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, that was the reason why people bought this system. But I think this is a really cool thing. So let's go ahead and wrap things up. You know what? Let's try it, boys. Let's try it, because I know you're gonna want me to try it. I do not expect this to work whatsoever. I don't even expect this to boot up. And if it doesn't boot up, I'm not going to be angry, because I did not buy this for Wii U. I did not buy this for Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U. I don't think anyone's buying it for that. I think they're buying it for older systems. But hey, if this little old, you know, mini PC can, I think we've failed already. I think we've hit the white screen of death, kids. I don't think. Oh, wait a minute! Coming through the ashes, like Lazarus rising from the dead. We got a splash screen. I'm impressed that I'm even in a menu for this game. I am impressed that I'm even in a menu for this game. I just do it. Just do a basic race. I don't care. There's no way the game's gonna run at 60. There's no way. That'd be crazy. That'd be super funny if it did, though. Maybe Mario Kart is just really optimized for, like, anything, because this mini PC should not be running it. This Kinhank device should not have it on there. None of this makes any sort of sense whatsoever, but yeah, maybe this is just a super, I mean, it looks good. There's no way it's, oh yeah. It's super slow. It's laggy too. But you know what? It's commendable that it's even on here. It's pretty funny that it's even on here. And I would dare say it's somewhat playable. Obviously, this is not the optimized version of it. Maybe if this computer was a bit stronger, it would be running better. Maybe it's just down to emulation of stuff like this. I have ran some more, you know, impressive games such as this on other devices, but I wasn't expecting it to run good on here. But let's go ahead and wrap things up for this video.
So what do I think about the Kinhank Portable HDD drive with the super long name, available on Amazon for $120? I'm actually pretty impressed with it. You know, it didn't even get super hot to the touch or anything, which is something that I figured it would, considering we were running all these different games. I do wish that the games list was curated better. I think if they could fix all of that sort of stuff, that this would be, you know, a must-have sort of thing. But I think for what it sets out to do and like the marketplace it's trying to occupy, I think it's pretty decent. Like, it ran everything I tried to run at it. The games list for a lot of the systems that I wanted to check out had most of the heavy hitters on there. I mean, it is a 2 terabyte drive, so you are going to be somewhat limited in how much newer stuff you could have on there, but I felt like the amount of newer stuff was definitely good enough for the average person who was just looking to play some old retro games. Like I said, my mini PC is not that strong whatsoever. I'll put the specs up of it on the screen right now, but it's not that strong. So to be running these games with really no problems whatsoever was very impressive. I do wish that I could run Windows alongside of this, though. I think that's a big missed opportunity, and maybe I can, but I was kind of frustrated that I couldn't screen capture and I was having to use my, you know, hand camera instead of being able to screen capture directly. It kind of looks a little bit better when you could directly record stuff, but I couldn't figure it out. If you can, let me know in the comments section down below. But yeah, you know, I have the biggest video game collection in the world now. Nobody can touch me. I'm the king of video games, over 120,000 video games, and it's all thanks to this $120 device. So let me know in the comments section down below if you've had any experience with this, or if you plan on checking this out, because I mean, if you're looking for some retro games and like not a high price, I think it's super good. Like, it's pretty much plug and play. You do have to run the Batocera interface instead of running Windows, which that's kind of lame in my opinion. I wish I could just kind of switch back and forth like I do with something like Launchbox or Big Box, but I guess it is what it is. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Hit the bell notification as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.